Jason lived in a world where technology had advanced beyond anyone's imagination. Robots filled the streets, performing tasks that humans once did. People communicated through vivid holograms, and virtual reality offered endless possibilities for entertainment and escape. Yet here he was, struggling with his own reality. His dreams of becoming a brilliant inventor had been crushed under the weight of deadlines and doubts. "Why is everything so hard?" he whispered to himself, brushing away the tears that threatened to spill. He picked up one of the crumpled papers from the floor, its words smudged and faint. It was a design for a device that could potentially change how people interacted with technology. He had been so excited about it, but now it felt like just another reminder of his failures. Suddenly, a notification buzzed on his computer, jolting him from his thoughts. It was a message from Ava, his closest friend and fellow inventor. Ava had always believed in his dreams. When they were kids, they would imagine fantastic future gadgets together, laughing and sharing ideas. But now, he couldn't bear to face her. What could he possibly say? That he was stuck in a rut, unable to create anything of value? He hesitated, staring at the screen as more messages rolled in. Finally, he opened the chat. "Hey, Jason, are you okay? I haven't seen you in days." Jason let out a deep sigh. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, and after a long pause, he replied, "I'm fine, just busy." Busy? Or overwhelmed? "I know you, Jason. You can't hide from me. I'm coming over. We need to talk." Before he could respond, he heard a soft beep at the door. Ava had always had a knack for showing up when he least wanted company, but most needed it. His heart sank, but he also felt a small flicker of hope. Maybe she could help him see things differently. A minute later, the door slid open. Ava entered, her bright hair catching the dim light. She glanced at the scattered papers and the tired look on Jason's face. "Wow, you've really been busy. Is this what you call working?" She joked lightly, trying to ease the tension. "Not exactly how I imagined it," Jason admitted, forcing a weak smile. "You know," Ava started, her tone turning serious as she moved closer to the desk. "It's normal to struggle. Every inventor goes through this. Have you tried looking at your designs from a different angle?" Jason shrugged. "I don't know if it will help. I thought I had a good idea, but now it just feels like a mess." "Let me see what you've got," she said, sweeping some papers to the side. Jason reluctantly handed her the crumpled blueprint. He watched as she studied it, her eyes scanning the lines and notes he had written. "This is brilliant," Ava declared, her enthusiasm contagious. "You're just too hard on yourself. Look at this. If you change the interface here and make this adjustment, it could really work." As she explained her thoughts, Jason realized how lost he had felt in his own mind. Ava's fresh perspective brought a clarity he hadn't seen in weeks. "You really think it could work?" he asked, hoping for a glimmer of belief in himself. "Absolutely, but you have to believe in it too. Remember what we talked about? The future won't create itself. We have to make it happen," she encouraged. A beam of excitement ignited in Jason's chest. They spent the next hours diving deeper into brainstorming. They sketched ideas together, their laughter filling the room as they bounced concepts off each other. For the first time in days, he felt alive. The shadows on the wall seemed to retreat, replaced by the bright energy of hope and creativity. Suddenly, as they worked, the lights flickered in the room and the computer screen buzzed with an alert. Jason glanced at it. "What is that?" he wondered aloud. Ava leaned over, eyes wide. "It looks like a news flash from the Tech Council." Curiosity piqued. They turned their attention to the screen. The broadcast reported a call for new inventions to combat a looming energy crisis in the city. The council was looking for innovative ideas that could save their increasingly dependent society. A light bulb went off in Jason's mind. "What if we submitted the device to them?" he said, excitement bubbling up. "This could be our chance to create something that really matters." Ava's eyes sparkled with inspiration. "Yes, let's do it. We'll work together day and night if we have to. This is our moment." With new purpose, they set to work, fueled by coffee and determination. The night blurred into morning as they transformed Jason's original design into something extraordinary. Their minds raced with possibilities, and their synergy brought new life to the project. As dawn broke, they finally saved a final version of the project on the computer. A sense of accomplishment washed over them. "We did it!" Ava exclaimed, throwing her arms around Jason. "Yeah, we really did," he agreed, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. "I couldn't have done this without you." The submission deadline loomed, but they had created something they both believed in. The next day, they zipped through layers of virtual protocols to get their invention registered. As they clicked submit, a surge of adrenaline rushed through Jason. He felt hope sparkle anew. The days passed, and with each new update, the anticipation grew. Finally, the Tech Council announced a competition. They would review the top inventions, and the winners would receive funding and resources to develop their ideas further. Jason and Ava felt a mix of excitement and fear. What if they didn't win? Weeks later, they received a message from the council. They had been chosen as finalists. Jason's heart raced. Suddenly, it felt real. The struggle had been worth it. With Ava by his side, he had transformed his despair into hope, and now, together they were ready to face their future. The future they had always dreamed of. In the quiet heart of Neo-Kyoto lived a young inventor named Hiro. His world was a symphony of buzzing neon lights, towering skyscrapers that kissed the clouds, and the constant hum of flying vehicles. But tonight, Hiro's world was confined to his small, dimly lit apartment, a stark contrast to the vibrant city outside. Hiro sat hunched over his desk, his head buried in his hands. Crumpled papers littered the surface, each one a testament to a failed attempt. The glow of his holographic workstation cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the room feel smaller, more suffocating. He was surrounded by the ghosts of his ambitions, the unfinished projects that haunted his waking hours. Hiro was on the verge of a breakthrough. He was trying to create a device that could harness the city's ambient energy and redistribute it to the less fortunate. In Neo-Kyoto, energy was a commodity, and the poor often suffered in the shadows, unable to afford the power needed to survive. Hiro believed he could change that. He believed he could make a difference. But days turned into weeks and weeks into months, and the device remained stubbornly incomplete. Each failure chipped away at his confidence, leaving him feeling lost and alone. He had poured his heart and soul into this project, sacrificing everything in the process. His social life was non-existent, his apartment was a mess, and his health was starting to suffer. A soft chime broke through his despair. It was a message from his friend, Aiko. Aiko was a talented programmer who worked for a powerful tech corporation. She had always been supportive of Hiro's dreams, offering him encouragement and advice whenever he needed it. "Hiro, are you okay?" The message read. "I haven't heard from you in a while. Want to grab some ramen?" Hiro hesitated. He wanted to see Aiko, to escape the confines of his apartment and the weight of his failures. But he also knew that he couldn't afford to waste any time. The energy crisis was worsening, and people were suffering. "I can't," he replied. "I'm close to a breakthrough. I can feel it." Aiko didn't respond immediately. Hiro knew she was worried about him. He had a habit of pushing himself too hard, of sacrificing his well-being for his goals. "Hiro," she finally wrote, "you can't save the world if you destroy yourself in the process. Please take a break. Come get some ramen. We can talk about your project, and maybe I can offer some fresh perspective." Hiro sighed. Aiko was right. He needed to take care of himself. And maybe, just maybe, a fresh perspective was exactly what he needed. "Okay," he replied. "Ramen sounds good." He stepped out of his apartment and into the bustling streets of Neo-Kyoto. The city was alive with energy, a kaleidoscope of sights and sounds. Flying vehicles zipped through the air, their headlights painting streaks of light across the night sky. Holographic advertisements shimmered on the sides of buildings, vying for attention. As he walked toward the ramen shop, Hiro couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. Maybe he wasn't alone in this fight. Maybe with Aiko's help, he could finally complete his device and make a difference in the world. Aiko was waiting for him at the ramen shop, her face lighting up when she saw him. She was a vibrant young woman with a sharp mind and a kind heart. Hiro had always admired her strength and her unwavering optimism. "Hiro!" she exclaimed, pulling him into a warm embrace. "It's so good to see you. You look terrible." Hiro chuckled. "Thanks, Aiko. You always know how to make a guy feel better. They sat down at a small table and ordered their ramen. As they ate, Hiro told Aiko about his struggles, about the countless failures and the growing sense of despair. Aiko listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and practical advice. She suggested new approaches to his design, pointing out potential flaws and suggesting alternative solutions. Hiro, she said, you're brilliant. You have the potential to change the world, but you can't do it alone. You need to surround yourself with people who can support you, who can offer different perspectives and help you overcome your challenges. Hiro nodded. He knew Aiko was right. He had been so focused on his project that he had isolated himself from the world. He had forgotten the importance of human connection, of sharing his struggles and celebrating his successes with others. As they finished their ramen, Aiko made a suggestion. Why don't you come work at the corporation with me? She said. We have access to resources and expertise that you can only dream of, and I know some brilliant engineers who would love to collaborate with you. Hiro was taken aback. He had always been wary of big corporations, seeing them as soulless entities that prioritize profit over people. But he trusted Aiko, and he knew that she wouldn't steer him wrong. I don't know, Aiko, he said. I've always been independent. I'm not sure I'm cut out for corporate life. Just think about it, Aiko replied. You don't have to make a decision right away, but consider the possibilities. You could have access to state-of-the-art equipment, a team of talented engineers, and the resources you need to finally complete your device. Hiro promised to think about it. As he walked home that night, he couldn't shake the feeling that Aiko was right. He needed help, and the corporation might be the answer. But he also couldn't shake his reservations. He had always been a rebel, an outsider. He didn't know if he could fit into the corporate world, with its rigid rules and its focus on the bottom line. As he entered his apartment, he noticed something strange. The door was slightly ajar, and the lights were flickering. He cautiously stepped inside, his heart pounding in his chest. The apartment was a mess. Papers were scattered everywhere, and his holographic workstation was smashed. Someone had been here, and they had been looking for something. Hiro's blood ran cold. He knew that his project was important, but he didn't realize that it was important enough for someone to break into his apartment and try to steal it. He frantically searched through the debris, trying to assess the damage. He quickly realized that the most important component of his device was missing, a small, intricately designed chip that contained the core algorithms for energy redistribution. Hiro sank to his knees, his head in his hands. He had been so close to making a difference. And now, everything was gone. But as he sat there, a new emotion began to stir within him. Anger. He was angry at the person who had broken into his apartment, angry at the corporation that had tempted him with its resources, and angry at himself for being so naive. He stood up, his eyes blazing with determination. He would not be defeated. He would rebuild his device, and he would expose the person who had tried to steal it. He would show the world that one person, with enough passion and determination, could make a difference. He knew it wouldn't be easy. He knew he would face obstacles and setbacks, but he was ready for the challenge. He was ready for the struggle. Once upon a time in a small town, there lived a 14-year-old girl named Lila. Lila had always been curious about the stars and dreamed of becoming an astronaut. However, she faced many struggles in her life, like dealing with schoolwork and finding friends who shared her passion for space. Lila often felt like her dreams were far away, just like the stars in the sky. One sunny afternoon, Lila sat on her bed with a book titled The Secrets of the Universe. It was her favorite book because it contained stories about brave astronauts, strange planets, and galaxies unknown. However, even though she loved reading, finishing this book felt like climbing Mount Everest. The words danced in her mind, and she often found herself distracted. The more Lila tried to focus, the more her thoughts wandered. Lila decided to take a break and went to the stairs that led to her attic. The attic was where she kept all her old books and dreams. Each step felt like a challenge, as if the stairs were taller than she remembered. One step at a time, Lila told herself. She took a deep breath, placed one foot on the first step, and slowly made her way up. At the top of the stairs, she found her old telescope, dusty but still shining with potential. It reminded her of her dream to explore space. Lila felt a surge of determination. "If I can climb these stairs, I can finish my book," she said out loud. The thought of finally reaching her goals made her heart race with excitement. Just then, her best friend Jake entered the attic. He was a science enthusiast and often joined Lila in her stargazing adventures. "Hey, Lila, are you ready for our weekend project?" Jake asked, his bright blue eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "What project?" Lila inquired, a mix of curiosity and surprise filling her voice. "We're going to build a small rocket. It will be our first step toward launching our own mission to Mars. Just think about it," Jake said, waving his hands dramatically. His excitement was contagious. Lila felt a thrill at the idea of building a rocket. However, doubt crept in. "But we don't have all the materials we need. What if we fail? What if it doesn't work?" She hesitated. Jake smiled reassuringly. "It's okay to be afraid. Every great astronaut had to start somewhere. Remember that time you struggled with math, but never gave up? You did it. You can build this rocket, and we will celebrate our small victories along the way." Lila thought about it. "You're right. Each little step counts. Let's do it." With a burst of energy, Lila grabbed her supplies, and together they began their project. The following days were filled with laughter, mistakes, and plenty of glue. Lila and Jake worked side by side, measuring and cutting pieces of cardboard, attaching colorful nose cones, and painting the rocket bright shades of red and blue. Every time they completed a task, they cheered, celebrating their progress. One evening, as the sun began to set, Lila finished reading The Secrets of the Universe. The last page filled her with inspiration. Dreams were not dreams if you worked for them. Lila rushed to tell Jake the great news. "I finished the book, Jake. I feel like I can do anything now," she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with joy. "That's amazing, Lila. Let's celebrate. We can have a small launch party for our rocket," Jake replied. They decided on a date for their launch celebration and invited their closest friends, Mia and Sam. As the day approached, Lila felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. What if the rocket didn't launch? What if no one came? She had to remind herself not to focus on the what-ifs. Instead, Lila remembered the stairs, the hard work, and the joy of finishing her book. The launch day arrived. Friends gathered in Lila's backyard, a beautiful setting with blooming flowers and a clear blue sky. The air was filled with laughter and cheerful chatter. Lila stood beside her rocket, her heart pounding with anticipation. Everyone circled around, hands clapping, eyes sparkling. "Ladies and gentlemen, presenting our rocket, the Dreamer," Lila announced. Jake helped her light the fuse, and for a moment, everything felt magical. The rocket shot up into the sky with a whoosh. Cheers erupted all around as everyone watched it soar higher and higher, almost touching the clouds. Lila's eyes sparkled with joy as she realized that this small victory was not just about the rocket. It was about overcoming her struggles and believing in herself. After the rocket landed safely, the group shared cupcakes and lemonade, celebrating their achievement. Lila felt proud, and with each bite of cupcake, she was reminded of how each small step, whether it was reading her book, climbing the stairs, or building the rocket, was worth celebrating. They sat around telling stories of their favorite astronauts and shared their dreams for the future. As the sun began to set, Lila looked up at the sky, filled with stars. She felt a burning excitement within her. "Next summer, we should build a bigger rocket," she suggested. "Absolutely. This is just the beginning," Jake replied, as they gazed at the stars, dreaming of the adventures that awaited them. In that moment, Lila understood that struggle is part of the journey. The breakthrough came when she finished her book, climbed the stairs, built a rocket, and celebrated with friends. It was the start of a rise toward her dreams, and she couldn't wait to see where they would take her next. From that day on, Lila knew she would never give up on her dreams. With every small victory, she took another step closer to becoming the astronaut she always wanted to be. And in her heart, she felt like she was already among the stars. One sunny afternoon, Lila sat on her bed with a book titled The Secrets of the Universe.